Welcome everyone. My name is Mike, and I'm so glad you joined me today for this 30 minutes of mindfulness, meditation, and movement. And today is only the second time through, so if you are new joining us, keeping it very introductory, although I will say this is a class that is for all people, whether you have meditated in the past or it's brand new. Hopefully there's something you can find there for you. All right, so what we do in this class is to begin by really just getting ourselves centered, getting ourselves mindful of the body and away from our thoughts and away from our day. And then after a bit of that, we move a little bit, and the purpose of the movement is to kind of work out some of the kinks in the body that we may be experiencing. And also, ultimately, the movement in any class is meant to prepare us to sit. All right, so then we'll finish class after that, hopefully feeling just a little bit warmer and a little bit calmer and able to sit then again for a bit more concentrated type of meditation. So if you're wondering, how to practice, if you've got a cushion, that's a common way to sit up. We do recommend sitting up to make yourself as comfortable as you can be. And if you're sitting on a cushion or on a folded blanket is what I'm on right now, just getting some height, then make sure that you can sit in some kind of cross-legged seat and that you can remain tall without being fatigued or fidgeting. Yes, it is okay to sit in a chair as well. If you sit in a chair, sit a little bit ahead of the backing. Don't sit back, because you want to cultivate that nice sense of awareness through the spine as well. Probably sitting with the feet flat and hands resting. Wherever you are, the hands are resting, probably on the legs. It should not be as though it's pulling you forward. So however you can be comfortable sitting upright. I'll invite you now to close your eyes as we begin to draw a little bit more inward, creating for ourselves a bit more of this feeling of mindfulness. And what is that? As you, again, make your last adjustments in your seat and feel your head, neck, and trunk in a nice alignment, perhaps you'd like to set an intention for this practice, an intention simply to practice mindfulness. And then being not attached to what comes, knowing that your intention was good. And anything you experience today is just the realm of your human experience. And sometimes know that things can come up when we find ourselves in stillness, and have the courage to see those things arise. Those are the things that facing them are going to really help us benefit from this practice, this time, this awareness we bring in our body as you bring your focus in on your breath, especially. Breath being one of the key anchors that we have to yoke our minds. Yoke it in the present moment. My teachers say that our body is our past, bodies and minds, and our breath is our present. And so this is the main reason why I bring my focus now onto the rise and fall of the belly, maybe the coolness of the air as it enters the nostrils, and even just this act, the bringing of your awareness onto your breathing, is the smallest bit of a kind of meditation that you can do in any part of your day. removing yourself from the flow of life and resting in the flow of the breath. As we begin today, I'm going to guide your awareness to a couple different places. The first is I'd like you to establish what we call an Ujjai breath. You may have heard this term before, but it's where you continue to breathe, but you bring a slight, easy constriction to the area of the throat. And what happens is you start to feel the breath as it passes through the throat as you inhale, and you begin to hear it as you exhale, still having that nice, smooth, and even breath cycle. And if it doesn't feel smooth, take some gentle attention to it and make those inhales and exhales similar. Here now, using that Ujjai breath and the slight vibration and the slight sound that comes with it to be an even further internalizing focus. Noticing just how quiet that is. It's not anything intense. This constriction of the throat is maybe about a 2 on a scale of 1 to 10. And maintaining this gentle, effortless awareness. As you inhale, imagine yourself growing a little bit taller. And as you exhale, maybe engaging ever so slightly at the navel, just to support your lifted spine. Practice perhaps a moment of gratitude for something in your life that you are thankful for, a positive thing or influence or person. Again, just maintaining gentle awareness of that sensation of the throat and the smooth breathing. Tall. And then we're going to shift a little bit our awareness into that tallness of the spine today. So release the effort at the throat, release the Ujjai breath, and as you inhale again, notice yourself just being very tall. Notice too that when you inhale through the nostrils, you receive a bit of coolness in the sinuses or at the midbrain or the third eye, wherever you experience this. Notice just a little bit of a glow come in with the coolness of the breath as it draws up into the top of the nasal passages. And imagine that this is just sort of one sort of light that anchors you at the top, and now at the other end of your spine you are anchored at the bottom. And imagine your spine now as a blade of grass. Free at the top and rooted at the bottom, effortlessly tall, reaching up to the sun. And then bring your awareness even more fully into the tall spine and begin to gently sway back and forth. Still tall, still with just a little bit of concentration at the top and bottom of that blade of grass. Maybe moving barely an inch from side to side. And just notice what that state is like. Calming energy and gentle sway. And then bring yourself back into centered stillness and pause. And notice here, what do you feel when the body stops moving? Can you feel that gentle hum of energy barely perceptible, running down through the whole spine, now nice and free and long. And then, whenever your mind starts to move outward again, begin to sway once more. The gentlest of movements, sway with the movement of your thoughts. Be fully absorbed in the spine and let whatever thoughts were coming to you float away. And when you return to stillness of mind again, then pause again, resting in the center. If you, again, feel fluctuation in the mind, allow the spine to sway, that blade of grass in the gentlest of breezes. And as you return to stillness, find your center. And then if you have not returned back to center, do so at this time. And the next time that you inhale, take a deeper breath. Inhale, lift the chin, and as you exhale, sigh it out and open your eyes. Nice. So you may find, if you are not accustomed to sitting for a while, that got a little bit starting to get uncomfortable. And that's why we're going to train ourselves just into some gentle ways. This is not a big yoga class, but in some ways of ironing out some of that. So let's go ahead and remove, and you'll notice the difference when we return to our seat after a little movement, okay? So let's go ahead and lie back. Lie all the way back. And we'll begin with gentle arm movements. So when you inhale, bring your arms up overhead and flex your feet. And I want you to try to be meditative about this too. And then when you exhale, bring your arms back to your sides and let the feet relax. So even our movement can have any amount of mindfulness we bring to it. Inhale. Every time you inhale, the arms come overhead and the feet flex. Now really synchronize these. Exhale and bring the hands down and let the feet relax. It's easy, just as when we were seated, inhale, feet flex, arm overhead. It's easy to let the mind wander again, but if we have an anchor, so we had the anchor, we had the blade of grass, here we have the anchor of our movement, and still our breath. So our breath follows us the whole time, obviously. Inhale, but how often do we actually, keep our focus on it? Remember, it's a place you can return to. And we are smoothing out the wrinkles of our, agitated nervous systems. Let's just do one more. Any movement where we inhale, move, exhale, move, brings us into present awareness. And how about some attention for that low back? Let's bring our knees in and give them a big hug. And here too is maybe where you might notice if you had some places in the body that were challenged by sitting, that you can give yourself a low back massage here. You can create either small circles or rocking side to side. Okay. A lot of attention to the spine and our hips when we're talking about sitting. And then pause in the middle here and give yourself a really nice hug, compressing the low belly. Good. Now draw your chin into your chest, maybe holding your hands at the knees again, and maybe see if you can rock a little bit. Nothing that's, really jarring, but rock a couple times back and up. Smooth out the line of your back. No need to, kind of yank ourselves around. And then eventually come up to seated. and come around and come to all fours. And we'll continue a little bit of lovely spinal motion, hands under shoulders and knees under hips. When you inhale here, again, bring our awareness back into breath and body. Lift the tailbone and lift your heart. And as you exhale, let your chin come in, draw your navel back, and let your pelvis tilt. And then inhale, draw your shoulders back as the heart emerges again, lifting the tailbone. You're just undulating the spine the whole way. And so, again, I'll remind you, this is not, your traditional yoga class. We're moving with the body. Yes, these may be yoga flows, but we are just doing simple things and connecting our breath to our movement and keeping even as still as we can and smooth. Okay, inhale, making every movement a meditative act. Good. From here, if you'd like to tuck your toes, that's fine, and just sit back. Release yourself back and reach on out, and this is nice for really extending the back nice and long and relaxing the shoulders, feeling the openness of the area of the armpits. And notice when you are in a position like so, how the compression of the belly enables us to relax, and it enables us to exhale more deeply. So let your body do that and feel the weight of the body and gravity take hold. And let's add a little bit more energy for the spine on this. Come back up to all fours fully first. And we're going to do what's called a puppy. And that is keep your knees and your hips where they are, but start to walk your hands out a little bit more. So if a little bit is fine, good. Otherwise, you could walk all the way out. And here you're going to feel a real nice length in the spine. Big and long. Energizing the spine and strengthening it here just a little bit. Speaking of which, let's come on forward. Put your elbows down and then come fully forward onto the floor, okay? Make yourself comfortable, point your toes, and have a moment in Sphinx. So this is a nice way to relax the spine in a little bit of a bend. And we come into this pose a lot of times holding tension. So do away with that and melt. Feel the spinal column melt. Feel your shoulders get heavy and your body start to drape on top of it. And then bring your awareness back to your breath once again. So again, the movements that I would recommend for, a meditation practice are the ones that help us sit. And those are going to be anything that's, keeping our spine nice and supported and allowing our hips to open up enough to sit. Also, just the practice of being in the meditation helps too. Let's do just a tiny bit of strength while we're here. Lower yourself and bring your hands under your shoulders. Point your feet straight back behind you. And as you inhale, come off the floor. Lift your head too. And then exhale, come back and bow back down. Do this a few times. Again, inhale. Notice here your belly wants to expand, but it's a different experience when you're flat down. Exhale. Keeping light engagement through the whole body. Inhale, lifting, feeling the space behind you with the back of the head. And exhale, maybe we are engaged a little bit in the core. Nothing wrong with that. Good. Inhale. Exhale. And then let's go ahead, tuck your toes again, press yourself back on up, and come back to a seat where we will do a seated twist too. So we're going to finish this up and then return to get back into it, and hopefully you'll notice the difference. So I want you to extend your left leg. If you like, you can sit up on this too. Extend your left leg and bend your right. So this is a great way to do a twist because you have this anchor of your leg here. Now if you have your right leg bent, let's take your right arm, put it behind you, Inhale, press yourself up, and then exhale, just give yourself a hug with that leg and twist. So this being another major movement of the spine that helps us with the health of it, reminding ourselves, as we do in meditation, always to inhale, lift, creating space between those vertebrae, especially as we twist. Don't be afraid to look into the direction of the twist too. That helps those vertebrae in the neck. So this class is structured to kind of break up the meditative moments, but to give you a little bit of variety in what we're doing, give you different anchors, so that you have ways of practicing and exploring. Okay, let's come back to the center and take a moment just with both legs extended. Maybe bend your knees a little bit and just release forward a bit. And again, let things stretch on out on the backside. So instead of sitting for a whole 20, 30 minutes, giving yourself time. You'll naturally be able to increase the time you spend in a meditation. Now let's leave our right leg long and bend the left. So when I meditate at home, it's probably 20 to 30 minutes, every day. Let's hug, bring your left hand behind you, and then hug with your front arm and twist now the other way towards the left. So not only, various things you need to practice regularly, and some skills will build, not only your ability to sit, but your ability to keep your mind on the task at hand, and to not judge yourself. I hear a lot of people say, wow, my mind was just going nuts in that. I feel like I failed in my meditation. But that's just not the truth. It's not the truth. Let's come back center, because the practice is the practice. And what happens, happens. Okay? The fact that you practice it and made even a minuscule progress towards the ability to calm the body and calm the mind is so useful. So useful in in our crazy modern lives. Okay? Take that time. Good. And come on back, and we are going to finish with just a little bit more of centered. And this time we're going to really focus again in on that breath and the anatomy of the breath. So I want you to find your seat of meditation. If you're finding that your back is really just, that's all for today, then move to a chair. Otherwise, come back in, sit up on something, reestablish a steady foundation, and lift, and then bring yourself back into quiet awareness. The first thing that we do when we come back to our seat seat established, is to notice the breath. Begin with the simplest of anchors. And this basic meditation here is one that I encourage you to return to with repetition. Every experience, every time that you sit, especially in the beginning as you get used to things, will offer something new. So give it a chance more than once, more than twice, I hope. Now sitting tall and noticing your breath. Noticing here maybe some of the subtler things happening in the body as the breath moves. How about the side ribs? As the flow of your breath moves effortlessly in and out of the body, do you notice the bottom of the side ribs just expands a little bit with the inhale, and relaxes a little bit with the exhale? Challenging yourself to maintain your attention on the body and on the ever-present breath. Again, smoothing out the inhales so that they are similar to the exhales in both volume and quality. Noticing maybe how you have arrived again at your seat after a little bit of movement. Do you have any more awareness of your spine, of your belly moving, of your back? And even this amount of a short amount of time and simple awareness you may find challenging at first, but just know that the mind is always going to want to be active, and that's natural. Make the breath the focus of this meditation, challenging yourself to practice the act of concentration. Sometimes when we talk of meditation, it is really actually mastering this art of concentration that is the essence of what we're doing. Now notice the breathing, that when you reach the end of your inhalation, that there is nothing between that and the next exhalation, how the breaths are weaving one into the next, so that it's really a lot more like a cycle of breathing, or a wheel that's turning, inhaling and rising, exhaling and descending, moving on this constant, steady wheel. And of course, if you need to, making adjustments in your posture, but trying to remain still and training the body to be okay with quiet. Remembering that the process of watching the breath influences the mind. They are linked. As the prana goes, our energy, our breath, so the mind flows. Eventually, the frenetic pace of our thinking is calmed, and our everyday mind less active. Focus on the sensation of the cycle of the breath. Maybe those thoughts, when they come to you, are like water in a stream. They come from you upstream, but they flow away from you as well, just the same. You do not enter the stream, you are only watching. Always guiding yourself back to stillness that is inherent inside the body, and separating, teasing apart the pieces of the mind, letting the part that flows with thoughts to be outside of you, and instead identifying with that position of the watcher. And then to bring ourselves out, let's take another deep breath. Hands at heart center, Anjali Mudra, and bow your chin into your chest to seal in your practice. Nice. One thing you can do to liven yourself back up is to give yourself a vigorous hand rub like so. Create some heat. Create some heat. Create some heat. And then you can rest those over your eyes and add some of that heat to the area of the eyes. And you can add it to the ears. Slow, a little massage. And you could add it to the area of the throat. And then finishing back at your heart center. Thank you so much for doing this for yourself. I hope you'll return to this meditation practice for even bits at a time and try to establish and see what happens with some regularity, some consistent practice. See you next time. And one programming note, the Virtual Y offers a $9.99 a month for complete access to all of our virtual-only classes. Check it out, YMCA of the North. Bye now.